Hello there, it is Nick Zangl coming to you from California for this live news chat update for the California recall election of Governor Gavin Newsom. Now, we will be covering a few things in this update, from the status of mail-in ballots to the updates to the candidate list, to Caitlyn Jenner's fall from grace, and Newsom's feeling a little bit of the heat of this recall election and his subsequent outbursts. And then we will end with talking about the recall election debate that happened a few weeks ago. So let's first start with the mail-in ballots and the status of those, which is that we are a little less than 1 month away from Election Day on September 14th. Ballots have been mailed out, and California voters who received an email of the status update are told to reach out to the contact on that email if your ballot does not arrive within 7 days. Now, I usually take my filled out ballot personally and seal it, of course, and hand deliver that to my designated voting site just to minimize any and all middlemen that I possibly can, and handling this as possible because it just gives me a little bit of peace of mind in the process, even though I know it is not a perfect process, but that just gives me a little more peace of mind if I do it that way. Despite federal challenges in federal court to the constitutionality of the recall process in California in general, it appears that this is not going to stop this recall from going forward as planned, but we will see what happens in the next few weeks leading up to the election on September 14th and the weeks after. Now, as far as an update to the candidate list, Larry Elder, pictured here, made it official after he's been indicating he was strongly considering running only a few weeks ago, just in time for the deadline to join the ballot, which was right after I finished my previous update on the recall a few months ago. And as a result of him joining, he is now the leading candidate in the polls. But really, there is a larger percentage in the polls in favor of people who don't know who they're going to vote for yet or who they want to replace Gavin Newsom, which in a recall election in California doesn't really matter, because as long as 51% of the voters in the recall election vote yes to the recall, whoever gets the most votes in that second question of who you would like to replace Gavin Newsom is the winner, even if they only get 20 to 30% of the overall vote out of all the choices to replace Gavin Newsom. Now, considering there are over 40 people running as either a Democrat, a Republican, a Libertarian, or a no-party affiliated candidate, there have been some notable additions as the deadline approached since our last update on this channel in the recall election. California State Board of Equalization member Ted Gaines, pictured here, who is running as a Republican, joined the race. Riverside County Supervisor and former Mayor of Calamasa, Jeff Hewitt, who is going to be running as a Libertarian, is pictured here. And former U.S. Representative of California, Doug Osee, who is running as a Republican, has ended his campaign informally due to a heart attack, but will still be on the ballot because this was not an official withdrawal. It was unofficial, so his name will still be on the ballot, but he is not in the running. But I want to continue on with our conversation around Caitlyn Jenner, which is her recent fall from grace as far as polling goes and support goes, because she has slid in the polls after a quick start with lots of media coverage kicking off her campaign. Now, I thought at the time this was a good thing for the race because it garnered national attention, but now that the field has really evolved and has included many others who are more high profile and who are polling a lot better, the writing is kind of on the wall for her. But I do not think this is the end of her political career, and I stand firm in my claims months back on her being good for California politics and national politics in general, for continuing the exposing of hypocrisy in both politics and in the media. Another reason to believe Caitlyn is not winning is her going to Australia to film Celebrity Big Brother there in the middle of her campaign in the middle of summer. And reports are saying that she was filming the entire journey of her campaign, running for governor for a project potentially as a reality TV gig. But I did see recent reports that she's already back in California off the Celebrity Big Brother in Australia. So it looks like it was a short stint there, but it just indicates to me that maybe she wasn't fully on board for this feat and was still kind of having one foot in, one foot out kind of thing at this moment. So now we want to move on to the update regarding Gavin Newsom and his kind of reaction to this whole thing, which is targeting him basically, which is him losing his cool as of late. Now, I mentioned he wasn't looking as confident back in June when he was announcing the state budget for the 2021-2022 budget of the state of California. And he didn't look too happy to be there and was kind of being short with his answers and was being kind of sarcastic when he was announcing good news, kind of addressing the lack of enthusiasm to what he was announcing. Well, a week ago, he was taking questions virtually from opinion editors, and he was increasingly frustrated during this virtual call with the media, which lasted for an hour. And it was posted by the Sacramento Bee's YouTube channel, which I will link that full hour of questioning from him in the description for you to check out after we finish here, which we're almost done. But his outbursts to me are a sign that he is under stress and knows that his long-term goals of being president one day may be quickly fading even if he survives this recall attempt. And it can be used the same as President Trump being the subject of 2 impeachments to be able to bring up by his enemies or his opponents or competitors, whatever you want to say. They can say that forever Donald Trump was the subject of impeachment 2 times, even though they both were not successful. Now, I will be watching to see how far he goes in his anger and outbursts in the coming weeks leading up to the election. And of course, after, if there's any challenges to the results or if we don't get results for a while, because I don't think that attitude helps his cause. But I do think we are seeing genuine reactions from him. Clearly, he is over pretending things aren't happening and that he isn't worried. Clearly, it's affecting him. And this is a different side of him that we haven't seen, because I think this is the most pressure he has faced in opposition, especially as in his time as governor. But he had a lot of support in San Francisco. So we will see how he continues to respond to this. But the last thing I want to talk about regarding this update to the recall was the recall debate that happened a few weeks ago. So only a handful of candidates actually showed up, and the top 2 candidates in the polls, Larry Elder running as a Republican and Kevin Paffrath, who is running as a Democrat, he's also known as Meet Kevin on YouTube, they were not in attendance. Not to mention, I've been following this recall throughout the whole thing, and I only heard about this quote-unquote debate as it was going on and it was almost ending. Someone that I talked to was texting me like, "Are you watching the debate? Did you even know this was on?" And we realized that we could only watch it where we were on YouTube, on the Fox Los Angeles YouTube channel where they were live streaming it, because apparently this was only being broadcast in the Los Angeles and San Francisco market. So I already know who I'm voting for in this race at this point, and so the debate didn't really change anything for me. And also considering the guys that were involved, which was John Cox, who has already lost to Gavin Newsom once, Doug Osee, who has recently dropped out informally due to his health concerns that I mentioned earlier, Kevin Falconer, who is a former mayor of San Diego, but is also a politician, Kevin Kiley, who is also a politician, a current assemblyman. It is clear to me that the polling shows that the top candidates, as far as the polls are showing, are not career politicians, indicating that at least in the governor's seat, people want the opposite of Newsom, who is seen as a career corporate politician, and people are clearly eager and looking for an outsider, not like Trump, but in the same field, as far as someone who hasn't had held political office before and has a different take, and we need to shake up the state. Because from what I've seen, the reason we are at this position where we're recalling Gavin Newsom is people are sick of the way things are going and who is in charge of the state. And anyone basically who's associated with Newsom or has some traits of him, whether it's a career politician, someone who is corporately backed, someone who comes from a dynasty family or a political family, maybe someone who is seen as someone who is kind of pandering to special interests, people are looking for the opposite of that in a time where all of that is personified in Gavin Newsom. So I think it'll be very fascinating to see how this all plays out in the next few weeks. Like I said in the beginning, if you are in California and you are a registered voter, you probably are going to get your ballot. Either you already got it or you're going to get it in a few days, and follow the directions on there if you didn't get, or in your email if you got an email tracking email to update and make sure that you get your ballot in time and make sure you get it safely to where it is supposed to be so that your vote counts. All right, so if you would like to watch more recall related videos from me, make sure to tap or click the screen next to me if you are watching on YouTube. And no matter where you are tuning in from, check the description of this episode and the about section of the channel for how to sign up for my free email list for notifications on when I go live and when there's live chats and live streams on YouTube. And click around the channel and in the description for more content. Until next time, and with that said, I will talk to you in the next one. Bye-bye.